Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to the next episode of the Deep Dive with Toya Creates. And today we are going to go over the week of June the 15th for the bold and the beautiful. So let's get into it. So on Monday, June 15th, we start with Will and Electra just chilling out at home. And Electra has decided that she wants to know who this new designer is at Logan. Now, she is being playful, but she is also being very serious, in my opinion, because she reminded Will that they made a strict pact to always be truthful with one another. And she used this to ask who is on Logan's new design team. So, this is also how we left off the previous week, and I really thought Will was going to cry. Now, he does admit that he sees what Electra is trying to do, and he does acknowledge that it is working just a little bit, but he tells her she just needs to stop because he made promises to people and he is not going to open his mouth. So then Electra, of course, tries to start guessing the identity and was like, "You will never find out. Just stop this, girl. Let's talk about something else." And that actually worked, okay? So even though Electra was just like, "Oh my God, I won't be able to sleep unless I know who it is," but she eventually concedes and she said, "I'll just have to find out with the rest of the world." And she leaves Will alone. So great. So then we are back over at RJ's beach house, and RJ and Dylan are getting very hot and heavy very quickly, in my opinion, but I'm old, so whatever. Let me hush. So then during this heavy make out session, Dylan stops them and she just insists that they need to slow down a bit. She does trust RJ, which is crazy to me. But again, I'm old school, so whatever. She trusts him, but she is also very, very anxious about how Electra will react when she discovers this new romance with RJ. Now, why should it be a problem? You know, I understand that it's weird. I mean, if it were me in the situation, I wouldn't deal with anybody because it's too much for me to take. But Electra, Will, Dylan, and RJ are trying to forge this friendship. I mean, well, Electra wants everybody to be friends, but Will is like absolutely not for RJ, and I understand that. But whatever. Everything is supposed to be fine now. So, in theory, Electra should not have any issues with Dylan dating RJ, and Will should not either, outside of the fact that he just hates RJ. But I don't know. Dylan is working overtime to be worried about how little Miss Electra is going to react. And she and RJ talk about it a little bit, and RJ just says that Will and Electra made their choices, and that means their past shouldn't impact what's currently going on with them. So then, and I do agree with that, even though I absolutely hate RJ. I do agree with that. And so they keep talking, and Dylan starts questioning once again because she did this the week prior. Just like, well, why do you want to be with me when you could be with anyone at Forrester? She's talking about, I forget those other girls' names, those models or whatever, but just, oh, he has a plethora of women to choose from. And why her? And RJ is just like, he likes how warm she is. She's authentic. She's down to earth. And that is who he is genuinely interested in. Now, remember weeks ago, if not months ago, when RJ and Dylan had their very own Electra Will moment in Forrester when they ran into each other and the sparks were flying then. So I knew this was going to happen eventually. And surprisingly, I am not mad at it because I feel like Dylan's not a terrible person. I feel like RJ is. But Dylan's not. And I think she deserves to catch a break. these days and, have some happiness and willing to let her back together. Whatever. So then, RJ is telling Dylan why he likes her and the reasons are valid. So fine. And he tells her that she is a diamond that deserves to shine. And that unlocked Dylan because they were right back in that little leather cot daybed, whatever that was, making out again. Okay, so then Dylan cuts them off once again because she just realizes she is not truly ready for this next step. And RJ counters that, well, she doesn't think RJ is ready for this next step, and RJ doesn't think she is ready either. But you can see the chemistry with them, and I, for one, would not be mad if they actually get together permanently. So for me, this was the biggest part of Monday's episode, and it low key pissed me off because Deke was so reckless with just leaving out all his designs and all of these things when Remy was in the home. And so, of course, because Remy is not stupid, he quickly deduced that Deke is on the design team for Logan. So now Deke is completely freaking out about it. He is demanding absolute silence. Remy cannot say a single word to anyone. Deke is just like beating himself up. He's just like, how could I be so stupid? I shouldn't have even let you in here. He is stressing that this line is a once in a lifetime opportunity and he cannot and will not let anybody blow this up for him, including Remy. And that is right, Deke. Worry about yourself. I really wish he didn't open the door either, but I know we need a storyline for the people, but I didn't like how Remy was being real pushy with Deke. It's just, ooh, excuse me. You know, Deke has been doing well without Remy. He's doing okay with Remy too. I'm not gonna lie, but Remy's a liar. He's crazy, and he did these deep fakes. And when Remy and Deke were basically exposed, basically, because at this point Deke was working at Forster Creations and they knew he had a boyfriend, but they did not know who the boyfriend was. And so Deke, like a well, Deke didn't know about these deep fakes at the moment either. Hey, Remy knew full well what was going on, and he allowed this to happen because Deke was like, "Oh, come to Forrester. We're having a celebration. I think for Will's promotion or something like it. They were celebrating something." And even before Remy came to Forrester Creations that day, he stopped to visit Luna in prison first. And I was just like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Even Luna was telling him this is not a good idea. Now, if that cuckoo bird tells you something is not a good idea, you need to heed the warning. Remy did not. He stepped up in Forrester Creations and they had a conniption. And this is when Deke finally found out what Remy had done. And from that point on, Deke was like, no. So I have always applauded Deke for putting himself and his career first, especially for this, because this not your husband. Whatever, say what you want to say. This not your husband. You not tied down to him. You don't owe him nothing, and don't let him blow up your progress. And so back to present day. Deke is just really conflicted with everything and he's trying to think his way through, but Remy is just all over Deke. And I don't like that. He's using seduction as a weapon to try to get more information out of Deke. Like, oh, who else is there? And he's aggressive. But Deke is holding out for now. And Remy has promised to keep all of this a secret because it is imperative that they do so. And I just hope Deke does not crack under the pressure. So then Hope comes home after a busy day working secretly at Logan. And she's surprised to see Brooke there because she's usually, running behind Destiny. Anyways, so Brooke is like, oh my gosh, how is the leave of absence going? I hope you're taking some time to basically decompress because you've been out and about a lot. Like, where have you been today? Hope was like, ah. Thankfully, she covered. I don't even remember what she said, but she basically segued off that topic, like, "Oh well, I am taking time to myself, and just, what's going on with you, Mom?" So then Brooke was just, reiterating that it doesn't matter how many weeks that her baby girl needs to de-stress as long as she eventually returns to Forrester where she belongs. And Brooke even apologized for not standing up for Hope the way she should have against Steffi. And she promises that they will take Hope for the future to the next level together. So Hope is dying on the inside because the thought of hurting her mother like this is too much for her to bear. So she's crying and she's just like, "Mom, I never want to disappoint you." And Brooke is like, "You could never disappoint me. Like, no, don't even think that." So then we basically end that day with Hope looking at a picture of her and her mother, and she's just whispering to herself that she has to go through with the Logan line because it's way too late to turn back now, and she's just hoping it doesn't ruin her relationship with her mother. Now, here's my point of view. It shouldn't, in theory, end her relationship with her mother, but her mother is basically a narcissist and everything is about her and watch my mouth, Team Forrester. And so I could totally see Brooke having a meltdown, but I don't think at the end of the day she is going to really be done with Hope. I mean, because she already has, I feel like Brooke has some insecurities about that relationship anyways, clearly, because Katie nerve talking about Brooke's relationship with Hope in the past, and that's why Brooke hauled off and slapped Katie. So I I understand Hope's hesitation and anxiety, but I feel like Brooke will eventually come around. So let's just hope that is what's gonna happen because it looks like this scenario is going to be exposed very quickly. Next up, we have Tuesday, June 16th, and we started with Eric, Ridge, RJ, Zende, and Carter. They are just Carter. I said Carter. Carter. They are doing an exclusive preview of Eric's Couture line. Oh, we'll get back to that. So they're just looking at the models, and you know what, we can get to it now. It is not giving couture, and that's what the people in the streets were saying too in my little comment section, and I agreed. I was like, it is very much giving off the rack, maybe even quick fashion. Not that I have any issues with quick fashion, but you not gonna give me quick fashion and pass it off as couture. No ma'am. So Eric needs to go back to the drawing board as far as I'm concerned, but per usual, everybody drinking the Forrester Kool-Aid. "Oh my God, this is so great. This is the best line yet. Oh, we're gonna blow Logan out of the water." Okay. So then the group is there just checking out everything. Like I said, is Zende is fit to be tied. I said he's just collecting his check at this point because he is so over it. He is less than enthused with everything because Zende has just been pissed about this hope for the future thing. He does not want to be second fiddle to RJ, and he's over it. So they ask him how the line is. He's just like, he is very much giving Marshawn Lynch, "You know why I'm here. I'm just here so I don't get fined." So then at some point, after all of the glazing that RJ and Ridge are doing with Eric's line, Carter like he sees the vibes with Zende. They're allegedly best friends, whatever. And so Carter's like, "You know what, Zende, let's just go in the design room and let's just have a chat." And this is after Zende snapped a little bit because, they're talking about everything. And Zende's just like, "Oh, okay, great. But, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, let me go back. Carter was going over the numbers during this preview, and Carter was mentioning how this was the most expensive line to date, which is also why I'm like, you better turn out something much better than these Timu Sheen products that went down that. This is not enough. If you're paying for this, whatever. And so RJ and Ridge are a little flippant about it because RJ's just like, well, nothing's too good for my father, Eric. Ooh. And RJ's like, well, what's the big deal? Isn't it? He's like, well, it is a big deal because it affects the bottom line. And what does that mean for hope for the future? Because it's coming back, right? And this is when Carter's like, you know what? Let's go in another room and let's talk. And so Carter and Zende are in the room. And Carter, oh my God, bless that baby. Oh, I thought you were mad about the Logan thing. You know damn well that he's not. You know what he's mad about. Zende was like, no, actually. I'm still very much pissed about the lack of a relaunch for Hope for the future. And he's back to, the golden boy. RJ's in here. I'm tired of playing second fiddle to him. I feel disrespected. I feel ignored. RJ is sucking up all the praise while Zende is being forced to take a back seat. And you know what? He's not wrong. But this is the game. This is the nepotism game that comes along with this territory. Even though Zende is family, RJ is the golden boy. Point blank, period. Because Eric was in there, I just want to thank you, RJ, for all of your work here and there. And Zende's like, what am I, chopped liver? In his mind. But whatever. So Zende is in this design room with Carter, spiraling out. He wants his work and designs to matter because he has put in the time. And he's explaining that he's simply waiting to get back to work for Hope for the Future once it relaunches because he has no interest in doing any of this other stuff. So Carter's trying to, Carter, aka Mr. Forrester, he gets on my nerves. He's urging Zende to remain calm and patient. And Zende's like, he cannot keep doing this. And he threatened that things need to change basically ASAP. And he even suggests, he's like, maybe I should take a leave of absence like Hope to get my family's attention. And that's how that basically ends. Over in another office at Forrester, Brooke and Steffi are just shooting the breeze, just discussing how a long term employee is retiring and discussing how they're going to replace her. And then Steffi just smoothly shifts the conversation towards hope for the future. She talks about how Brooke and she are getting along, which is shocking to me because she is not lying. Brooke and Steffi have forged some type of cordial, decent relationship. I I'm very curious to see how this relationship continues to develop once this Hope Logan Spencer thing hits the fan. But for right now, surprisingly, there is peace in the blended Forrester family. And so, Steffi said she wants to keep it that way. And then Brooke is getting a little nervous. She's just like, I hope you're not trying to renege on Hope's fashion line because it's going to cause major issues. And she's like, please do not do this to Hope. And Steffi is reassuring Brooke that Hope's line will definitely be next. And she just doesn't know what else she has to do to prove that she supports it. And so, Brooke is just telling Steffi that she owes Hope this relaunch. And Steffi was like, oh, I owe her? But she took that on the chin, so whatever. So then during this conversation as well, Steffi is obviously growing more suspicious about what Hope is up to because she's just like she's wondering out loud if Hope has more going on than what she is telling Brooke and Steffi, and she's wondering if Hope is intentionally hiding it from them. Mhm. So then Steffi starts asking Brooke, like, well, have you talked to Katie recently? Like what is she up to at this time? And she's so quiet. So, I hate Steffi's character, but she is sharp. She knows that Katie is up to something and she's figuring that Hope is also up to something. And she's trying to figure it out. Now, Brooke is just remaining boo boo the fool per usual, and she thinks everything is fine. She's very unconcerned about it. And this is when she tells Steffi that she and Katie came to an understanding and they developed a hiring pact where Katie will no longer poach any Foresters. She will only hire Spencers, and that will free up, Forrester Creations from any threat of Katie. And Steffi was like, oh, that's a really good idea. Now, Steffi, you're being smart with the other things. Why didn't you pick up that this was a hustle from Katie? Whatever. So finally, we just see Hope telling Bill and Katie and Liam how supportive Brooke was to her and that she absolutely hates hiding secrets from her mother. And Bill's just like, you're not lying, you're just withholding information. Bill, it's basically the same thing, but that's not, she's just not sharing all of the details. So, whatever. I mean, this is business. So then, and then Bill starts with his jokes. He's like, okay, let's call Brooke over right now. Let's ruin all this meticulous planning that we have been doing for Logan and let's just tell Brooke what's going on. Of course, they're not going to do that. But Hope's like, yeah, no, but she's just deeply fearful that Brooke will never forgive her once the truth about her super secret fashion line comes out. So then Bill is like me. Let's get to it. What do you say? Are you having second thoughts? Because if you are, speak now or forever hold your peace, basically. Because he like, if you want out, say it now. And Bill is saying they're not trying to hurt Brooke, but he can't say the same for that pompous dressmaker Rich because he deserves whatever is coming to him. And I love a good vengeance story. It's and Bill was like, it will be the ultimate slap in the face when the truth drops, and no one will see it coming before it is much too late. So then they are suddenly interrupted when Steffi calls Hope's phone and she's like, I need to see you in the Forrester office immediately because it's important. And she won't give any other information than that. So then Hope is scared to go at first, but Team Logan is in there. I think it was Liam, Bill, and Katie were in there and they're all discussing. They're just like, okay, no, you can't ignore Steffi because that might raise further suspicion. So why don't you go over there and just see what she wants? So after she leaves, the group is just still talking about it. Liam and Katie are worried that Hope might be walking into a trap. And Liam's like, I hope I didn't send my wife into a trap. But Bill is like, there is no way Steffi knows. Please, you guys are just spiraling out. Let's just see what happens. So then Hope gets to Forrester and she goes into Steffi's office. She's just like, hey, like, what's up? And Steffi, number one, asks, oh, did I catch you in the middle of something? Fishing for information. And Hope's like, basically, what do you want? Because Steffi's just like, you seem a little off, Hope. And Hope's like, what do you want? So Steffi says that she wants to talk about their relationship over the years. They've had their difficulties, but they are both mothers to Liam's children and they have a lot in common. And she doesn't want things to go off track again. And then out of the blue, Steffi's just like, because I know what you're up to. And there will be no more games. I know exactly what you're doing, and I'm here to put a final stop to it. And that is how we end Tuesday's episode. Moving on to Hump Day, June 17th. Now, this was one of my favorite episodes of the week. We are opening with Taylor and Deacon canoodling in her office per usual. We have not seen them for a few weeks since the grand opening of Bikini, and we really didn't get a lot of screen time with them. So they are back and they are together and they are just celebrating the fact that they no longer have to sneak around anymore. They reflect on everything that they went through with their families and Sheila just to get to this point right here. They are feeling stress free and stronger than ever. Okay. So then Taylor is just confessing that she's more in love than she ever thought she could be. Oh my God, you've gotten over Rich. Let me just say this. I don't necessarily mind Taylor and Deacon together. I do feel like it's wonderful that Taylor now has a man who actually wants her. And yeah, I don't really like how Deacon treated his current wife in the situation. Deacon, you knew what Sheila was before you married her, and you decided to marry her anyways. And you did actually have a very big hand in rehabilitating her. So then you just switched up after, oh, I'm a successful restaurateur now. And oh, I want things to be easier in my life. So now I'm in love with Taylor and I'm gonna just ditch the woman who's stood by me, helped me build Il Giardino, the one who I committed to, the one who I proposed to and married. I don't want her no more. I want Taylor. So I don't like that. And so I feel this couple, even though I'm not as mad as Taylor or not as mad at Taylor, this couple deserves whatever they get, in my opinion. So, whatever. So then Taylor and Deacon start talking about if Deacon has heard from Sheila because it's been a while. Now, Deacon admits that Sheila hasn't returned any of his texts. And the last thing he heard was that she was moving in with someone new. Now, they also brought this up at Bikini, but we really didn't get Taylor's full response or reaction to that. So we got it on Wednesday. Taylor was just like, oh my God, I can't believe anybody would want to move in with her. And then she catches herself. And she apologizes to Deacon for being rude. And he's just like, I get it, but he feels that Sheila is a changed person. He also comments on how Sheila has not signed the divorce papers yet. And Taylor is wondering if Sheila's just dragging things along, but Deacon's just like, he is assured this divorce will happen, and he just goes back to being in La La Land with Taylor. He loves her so much. He just really loves being part of each other's lives without having to think about everyone's reactions, especially Sheila's. And he also says that he is thankful that he believes Sheila has realized that their marriage was over so he can finally be with the woman he loves. Um, what? Ever. So then Taylor and Deacon are hugging, and the door cracks open, and boom! It is Sheila back in the flesh, scowling at them. Taylor gets up and screams, and Sheila just stares menacingly, and that's how that part ends on Hump Day. After that, we go back over to the Logan/Spencer office just to see how Liam and Katie are absolutely freaking out about what is potentially going on over at Forster since Steffi has summoned Hope over. Liam is worried that he has sent his wife into a trap. Katie has a bad feeling about it, but Bill is like, you guys worry too much. There is no way Steffi has figured it out, and you guys need to calm down. So then Deke also comes into the office a little later. He is there to go over the edits that Katie and Hope provided when they looked at his preview the other week. And when he walks in, Liam and Katie are just like, oh my God, have you heard from Hope? So they are immediately freaking Deke out. He's like, no, I haven't heard from her. I thought she was here. Why? What's going on? Then they update him on how Steffi randomly called and wants um to meet with Hope at Forster. So then they all get Deke spiraling, and Bill is like, look, cut cut this out. You guys are freaking out. Let's see what happens first and stop scaring Deke. So basically, Team Logan is just waiting around to see what it is that Steffi really wanted. Back at Forrester, Eric is thanking RJ for his massive contributions to the Couture line. No wonder it sucks so much if RJ was a major contributor. And Ridge is just proudly declaring that RJ and Zende are the future of the company. Does Zende know? Because I feel like if they really believe that Zende is the future as well, he needs to get the same treatment as RJ. And the fact that he has been there twice, if not three times as long as RJ and Zende, like he said the other day, he is the one who has put in the work. So I feel like they could have given him maybe his own dress to do in the couture line with Eric, or since they, claim that they are bringing hope for the future back, why couldn't he have continued working on getting that ready? I mean, let me go back because he did say the line was already ready to go, but maybe he could work on marketing rollout. I don't know, something, just something to make him feel like his work also matters. But whatever. This is what Ridge says, and blah, blah, blah. So at this point, Brooke has come into the showroom as well. And Brooke just starts talking about Logan. Like, oh, she wishes she could say the same for Katie in terms of, having a future. So then Eric, Captain Save a Ho, as it pertains to Brooke, which it's just gross. I literally really hate how Brooke has slept with the daddy Eric, had kids with him, slept with the son Ridge, had kids with him, slept with the other brother. I mean, it's disgusting. But whatever. I digress. So Brooke is going on and on about Katie, and Eric surmises that, oh, you're still upset with Katie, but I'll admit I am deeply disappointed in Katie's actions. Who cares, Eric? I don't care what you're disappointed in. But he has no ill will towards her. Oh, thank you so much for your benevolence. Who cares? Anyways, so Brooke mentioned that Katie claims that they have a major future with the Logan line, and Ridge is like, what do you mean? Who's the new designer? Because God forbid, no one can be better than Forrester in his mind. Whatever. So Brooke continues to drone on and on about how Katie upset her and took advantage of Eric. And I just, please, can you shut the hell up about this, Brooke? I am so tired of hearing this. But whatever. So Rich suggests they just move on, and I agree. Please put this to bed and shut up. And then, even though you suggested you move on, then Rich is guessing that Katie was happy at Forrester, but completely lost all perspective the moment she got back with Bill. Why is this Bill's fault? They really are acting like they weren't the ones who basically put Katie on a sabbatical. Or they basically retired her, kind of like they did Eric. But that's supposed to be fine. Because when Katie was going through the ordeal with Luna and Will and all of the things, they hired an outside PR company temporarily to help pick up the slack. But when Katie was, first of all, they didn't even ask Katie about that. So that was the first mistake. Then when she was ready to come back, oh, well, why do you want to come back, Katie? We have this PR firm now and they're handling things. Why don't you take more time off with Will? So you basically kicked her out, and then you're mad when she reacted to that? Corporate foolishness at its best, the nonsense. But whatever, this is all Bill's fault. Okay. And Brooke just throws out that line that they have been saying for the past 2 or 3 weeks. There is no hope for Logan's future. And she wishes Katie could hear how highly Eric still talks of her. Who gives a crap? Who is Eric? Who cares? Anyways. And that, Brooke is just hoping that things will go back to the way they were. I guess she means go back to the way they were when Katie was a homely introvert, reeking of jealousy of her big sister Brooke because no other woman can shine. Clearly, in Brooke's mind, and Ridge just feeds the delusion. He's like, maybe it will be. They are perfect for each other. Two delusional narcissists. Anyways, so that was it on that part. Now we are going to go over to the other side of Forster where Steffi is still cornering Hope. Now I will give it to Hope. She is doing a fantastic job of playing dumb. I guess because she has had years of experience in dealing with this one. Hope plays dumb, she plays it well, and she plays it quickly. Because she's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Steffi, can you clue me in? Because remember, yesterday, Steffi was like, I know what you're up to. And it's gonna stop today. So Hope was like, well, can you tell me what I'm up to? Because I don't know. So this is when Steffi tells Hope, not tells, declares that Hope's leave of absence is over. I was like, damn, can she actually have a leave of absence? It's been a week, if that. But Steffi's like, that is done because she feels that Hope is pulling this sabbatical as a sham, as a corporate ploy. It was a plot set up by Ty. Shout out Real Housewives of Atlanta viewers. Okay, it was a plot set up by him in her mind. And Steffi's just like, she felt like Hope was doing this just to push the needle in terms of hope for the future. And Steffi reminds Hope that, remember, I promised you I was going to launch this line. And that's exactly what she meant. Now, Hope is questioning, like, one, based on our past, why would I believe anything that comes out of your mouth? And why would I just stick around just to be strung along? And, and then Steffi hits back with, like, look, like again, I meant what I said. And on top of it, I want to officially announce the relaunch of Hope for the Future now. Hope is stuck at this point. I mean, gooped, gagged, and bewildered, and so am I, because who saw this coming from Steffi? Steffi was also being very nice to Hope, and I was just like, is this the sham that you were talking about? Because now I feel like Steffi is running game on Hope. Just because I feel like Steffi, I think she does think this sabbatical that Hope pulled out of the blue was a sham. But I do feel like Steffi thinks something else is going on as well. And she's using all of this to try to fish for more information. So, just like us, Hope is stunned. She is basically quiet. And so Steffi's just like, oh, you don't seem too excited. This is what you've wanted for so long. And Steffi even apologizes to Hope for the long wait. And, at this point, Hope is just super skeptical. She's just like, what in our toxic history suggests that Steffi is actually telling the truth? So Steffi's just like, nothing has changed. We basically grew up together in this very building as well. And she just wants to go back to happier times. And she called them all extended family. Now, I know Steffi is lying to me, but whatever. Her. This is what Steffi's saying. I don't know if she really feels these things or if she's fishing. Okay. And then Steffi's just like, wow, I really caught you off guard, Hope. Because Hope is still stunned in the background and just trying to make sense of everything. No sooner does she say that, Steffi's like, come on, come on. Come on, bring it in. And hugs her frenemy. I'm like, oh my God, today. And she's just like, welcome back to Forster. Welcome back home. Hope manages to get some words out. She's just like, I am so confused right now. I literally thought you were done with me. I thought my work wasn't valued here. I came to you several times asking for some type of date and I got nothing. So then Hope is like, I'm not going to let you do this, Steffi. Like, you cannot just magically wave your hands and all of the past has just disappeared. And I agree 100% because who does Steffi think she is? I mean, I know who she thinks she is, but this ain't that. And I agree with Hope because it's like we are not going to just skip over the years of BS and the fact that when I asked you like a month ago what was going on. I came to you several times telling you how I felt, telling you that I felt like I didn't have a future here, and you wouldn't even give me a damn date. Now, all of a sudden, everything's ready to go. You're ready to announce, and you're hugging me. What is going on? So after Hope says this, Steffi kind of backs off and they're just staring at each other. And then Hope is like, you know what? I have something I need to tell you, Steffi. There is something that you need to know. And that is how the episode ends. On to Thursday, June 18th, my second favorite episode of the week. What does it have in common with the other one? More Sheila. So, Deacon and Taylor are completely caught off when Sheila shows up. Taylor jumps up. She's like, what are you doing here? And Sheila admits that seeing you, Taylor, wrapped in Deacon's arms hurts a lot more than I thought it would. And then Deacon was like, well, you should have given us proper notice, Sheila. You should have called or something. And Sheila was like, oh, I need to give you notice to be with my husband? Like my husband and his lover need notice from me? Mm. So then Sheila talks about how she is not gonna be ignored. It is very much giving Fatal Attraction. I'm not gonna be ignored, Daniel. So then Sheila starts reaching for something in her bag, and Taylor or Deacon is like, no, no, don't do it, Sheila, please, because they are convinced Sheila is about to pull out some type of weapon and be done with them. No, no, don't do it. And Sheila's like, what? Don't pull out these divorce papers? I loved it because she's clearly toying with them. And they just fell for it. And they literally thought they were about to go meet their maker. But no, Sheila has these divorce papers. And so she's just like, I know you guys want me to sign this. And so Sheila is asking for a favor. Before she signs these papers, she wants something that the divorce attorney left out. She tells Taylor that she wants Taylor to convince Steffi to allow Sheila to have supervised visitation with Hayes at least twice a month. And she wants to cultivate a relationship between her and her son, Ben. And she feels that is the least that Taylor can do since she has helped herself to her husband, Deacon. And you know what? Of course, I agree. Now, Sheila could have come in there asking for half of everything because Sheila put in that work with Il Giardino and helping Deacon get that up and off the ground. And she is due that as far as I'm concerned. So her asking for visitation and time with Finn, I feel like is fair because she has shown through her actions, at least for the moment, she has changed. Because Sheila was also offended, like, yeah, I know what you guys thought I was gonna do, but I'm a changed woman, like I said. And so, Taylor, you were gonna do this for me. Now, Taylor's like, I can't imagine that Steffi is gonna allow this. And Sheila was like, start imagining it. Because if you want me to sign these papers and if you want to be free of me, you are going to do this favor. And that's how it basically ends. Now, again, I am Team Sheila. This is the least they can do. So I agree with her. Taylor, you better start imagining it and you better start putting your good psychiatric care to use and convince Steffi that I am no longer a threat. Next, we saw Ridge checking up on Electra. She is now in charge of the jewelry line now that her evil Aunt Ivy is gone. And so Ridge was telling Electra that he thought she could use some support. You know, she's still doing well, but he wants to have like a dynamic duo. And then Dylan walks in at the perfect time, and Ridge says, "This is your new assistant." Now they are going to work together per Ridge's request, and Electra and Dylan are very excited. Dylan, being the good worker that she is, wants to make sure that her first report, who is Daphne, because she is Daphne's assistant, is okay with this. And Ridge is like, don't worry, we've already talked to Daphne and she is on board as well. So the girls are happy that they're going to be working together. And he thinks this combination is going to be perfection. And he also informs him that Eric wants the jewelry line to accurately capture his vision for his new rollout. And this is also about showing Logan how it's done and to show Bill and Katie not to mess with Eric Forster. Barf, whatever. So, what do we think is going to happen with this Dylan and Electra mashup? I think it's going to be good at first, but then I feel like Electra's going to take big issue when it is revealed that RJ and Dylan are. So let's see that roll out because they can never let anyone be happy on this soap. Not for one iota. Back over to Hope and Steffi. Hope is still very much a gobsmacked, and Steffi asks, well, what's wrong? And Hope once again says that she has something to say. And Steffi asks, what is it? And Hope is about to say it when Brooke walks in and she overhears that Hope for the Future is slated to return the day after Eric's couture line drops. She's like, oh my God, Steffi, did I hear you right? Oh, honey, Hope, this is so great. Blah, blah, blah. She goes over to hug Hope, and Hope is just like, Hope is still stuck this entire time. Like everything is just happening so fast. She can't get her bearings. Brooke is super thrilled. She's congratulating Hope while Steffi confirms, yes, that is the plan as soon as Hope comes off of her sabbatical. And Brooke is just like, oh my God, I see that you are speechless, Hope. And Brooke is so proud. She's like, oh, I'm so happy we're going to get to work together again. It's going to be so great and Hope you are back where you belong. Now, she is grabbing Hope, hugging her, and Hope is looking at Steffi. And I felt like Steffi was low key smirking. I couldn't tell if she was smirking in the moment or actually happy. Cause then, I mean, she throws me even further when she goes back and gives Hope another hug. I couldn't tell if this was performative because Brooke was there or if Steffi was really excited. What? I'm gonna take that back. Feel like Steffi is just playing a game because I don't see Steffi making this 180 change out of the blue. So I think Steffi is being performative and putting it on real thick for Brooke. Because Brooke is just beaming back there, none the wiser. And I'm like, Brooke, you are dumb. Anyways, so then Brooke tells Hope that she should go home and tell Liam the great news so they can celebrate. And Stephanie was like, oh, Hope, you wanted to tell me something. What was it? And Hope was just like, you know what? It was just logistical. We can talk about it later. And she hightails it the hell up out of there because this exchange has been a lot for Hope. And I understand. So Hope is gone. the rest of Team Forster is getting kind of up to speed on things because Brooke just, she just, ah, she's gushing. And so Ridge comes in, I think, and Brooke and Steffi are just having a good old time. And Brooke's like, oh, to Ridge, oh, my second favorite co-CEO. And Ridge was like, I'm second to Steffi? When did this happen? Questions that need answers. And I think that's when Brooke tells him that Steffi has officially given a date for Hope for the Future and everything is just great. And Ridge is happy too. And he's just as shocked as the rest of us. He's like, Steffi, you did that? You gave a date and you're her favorite co-CEO now? Well, you know what? Pigs can fly, apparently. Over at Logan slash Spencer, Liam is crashing out. He is ready to call Hope and see what is going on because it has been taking too long. And Bill's like, look, stop it. He said, do not call Hope because if you do, that will probably make Steffi even more suspicious. And that it is best for Team Logan to just sit back and wait to hear from Hope. Because he's like, if things were going wrong, she would have been here by now. You know, like if Steffi was kicking her out or if she had found out the truth, Hope wouldn't have been gone so long. And Katie agrees, and so they agree to wait. And Hope finally comes in, and she can't even cross the threshold. They're like, "What happened? What happened? What happened?" Okay, and Hope just starts telling them how how she was caught off guard with everything, how Steffi wanted to apologize, how she wants Hope to come off of her leave of absence immediately, how Hope for the Future is going to launch the day after Eric's couture line, and just how much Brooke was so happy and how much she has missed working with Hope at Forrester and how proud she is of her. And you can see it all over Hope's face. She is in turmoil. And Bill is like, look, let's just get straight to it. Are you still fully committed to Logan? And Hope just stares, per usual. And we don't get an answer until the next day. So let's get into that. So let's get to Friday, Juneteenth, June 19th. Shout out, hey, celebration. And we are looking at the aftermath of the meeting with Steffi and Hope and that Brooke overheard. So Hope is very much conflicted. Okay. She is spiraling out. She doesn't know what to do. And she's not really being given the space to process because she is in a room with Bill, Katie, Liam, and Deke. They are all concerned about what's going on. They are just like, what is going on? What are you going to do? What's happening? Are you fully committed to Logan? So Katie can see that Hope probably needs a little space to figure this out. And so she takes Hope to a different part of Logan. And we got to see a new set design. And I was happy to see it. Now, it is very much giving smaller conference room, but I'm always excited to see some new scenes and things on this show. I like that they are, updating things. Kind of like when Young and the Restless finally transitioned from like older sets, from the iconic sets that we grew up with, and they got a little more modern. I was excited to see a more modern space over at Logan, and I would go work at Logan if it were me, but it's not me, so whatever. So, Katie pulls her into this room and they get to talk about everything. And Katie understands that Hope is very much conflicted. She understands the concern with permanently damaging her relationship with her mother, Brooke. But Katie also talks about all of the good things that she could benefit from going through with her plans to join Logan, and how she should not basically dim her light or put her own hopes and dreams and desires on hold out of just loyalty to her mother, because Katie does recognize, of course, it's going to be a blow up. Of course. But she does feel like Brooke will actually come around and eventually be very proud of Hope for setting her own destiny, being her own woman. Sorry, y'all, I'm busy. And being in charge of her life. So, after a lot of conversation, Katie is successful in getting Hope to fully commit once again to Logan. Hope tells Katie she is right, it's too late for her to back out now. And she is really excited to see what will happen with her own line, which is great, right? But I feel like, now this is my logical brain, I feel like Hope should have just full on resigned from Forrester instead of doing this leave of absence thing. I mean, I guess I can kind of understand, because if she did resign, they probably would have ascertained immediately. Oh, Hope's gonna go over to Logan. So I guess while she is on this sabbatical, that makes it easier. But I really feel like she needs to just fully quit. So by the time Logan actually launches, she won't be like legally on the hook with Hope for the Future. I mean, not Hope for the Future, with Forrester Creations, because who knows what's in her contract? I assume she has some type of contract with Forrester, and there are some parameters in there that would definitely prevent her from, like, competing. So I don't know. And we know Carter is not great with paperwork over there sometimes, but let's just see how that unfolds. But the long and the short of it is that Katie was successful in talking to Hope once again and getting her to fully commit to Logan. And that is what we are told is going to happen. So then we also saw Shauna and Wyatt come back to Logan slash Spencer. They want to follow up on Shauna's pitch to provide a jewelry line for Logan. She showed up last week when Hope was hiding behind the partition, and she pitched Katie, and Katie seemed interested, and Hope did too when she and Katie talked about it. So Shauna was just there to follow up, and Bill and Liam were the only ones there because Katie is in the other conference room or whatever, talking Hope off of the ledge. And so Shauna shows the jewels, and Bill and Liam are impressed. And Bill is just like, I'm interested in this. And Liam says he's interested as well. And he can't see Katie not being interested in moving ahead either. And Bill is like, well, before I sign off on this, I need something from Wyatt. So Wyatt absolutely knows what Bill is talking about. Shauna does not. And so Wyatt goes down his usual comedic road of, you know, in my quest for this hope for the future diamond, you need someone who's cunning, intelligent, likable, blah, blah, blah. And then he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out what I think is the actual hope for the future diamond. Because remember, the other week he showed Liam a security dupe, and so we don't know if this diamond that came out on Friday is that dupe again, or if it's the real thing. In the moment, Bill is just so happy. He's like, oh my God, Wyatt, you did it. And we don't confirm. And that's basically how we are left with that storyline. So I'm hoping Wyatt did get the real thing. And if not, I hope we find out tomorrow, which is Monday. The only other thing that happened on Friday was that we saw at Forrester Brooke just telling everybody about the news. She basically told Eric and Zende, because I think they came into the office for something, and so she was still gushing about the events of the day. Stephanie's not there. It's just her and Ridge. And then Eric's just like, oh my God, how great. I'm sure Hope was excited. Zende, this is the first time we saw him smile in a long time. He is absolutely thrilled and he is ready. So then Ridge hits us with Eric's line is releasing next week. And again, if that that preview is any indication, whatever. They're just gonna gaslight us and say it's a great thing. But whatever. We hear that Eric's Couture line is releasing next week. So you know that also means Hope for the Future should be releasing immediately after Eric's. So that is basically all that happened on Friday. It was to me a filler episode, but whatever, we are setting the stage for next week. Now I also do my previews on Sundays, which I did a little earlier today. And in the preview, we see Ridge still talking about how the line's coming out. Yay, yay, yay. We also see, I forget this woman's name, but I think her real name is Morgan Fairchild, but I forget her name on the soap because we saw her during the Logan fashion line release with the guy, whatever. Morgan Fairchild is saying how Logan is releasing their line tomorrow. So it looks like Logan is going to get the jump on Forrester before Eric releases his couture line. I cannot wait for all of that. And what else was it? Let me think. I didn't see any Sheila. I didn't see any Deacon. I think this coming week is just gonna primarily focus on the fashion wars. And I am so ready. I will be really thrilled and pleased if they give us this storyline so quickly because I feel back in the day when I used to watch soaps, I felt like it took a long time for some storylines to come out, but I feel like they are moving very quickly these days, and I'm not mad at it. So that is all that happened during the week of June 15th for The Bold and the Beautiful. I will see you guys tomorrow, which is Monday yet again. Shout out to everyone during this past week. All of the great things that happened, like Let's Go Knicks. I loved watching that parade. Saw a beautiful presidential center ceremony opening for Obama and his family. That was great. And Juneteenth and Father's Day. So it has been a great week slash weekend. I hope everyone has enjoyed all of the things and I will see you guys the next time. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Please check out my daily recaps called Drama While I Design, where I give you a quick recap of the day's episodes in 3 minutes or less. Typically for Bold and the Beautiful, I average around like 2 minutes. So check me out on YouTube. I am also on TikTok and have a great rest of the day.